Imagine you wake up at 3, you train at 4, you go 4 to 6, come home, breakfast, relax, blah, blah, blah. Now you're back at it again, 9 to 11, relax, and now back at it again, 2 to 4, and now you're back at it again, 7 to 9. Look how much more training I have done by simply starting at 4.
There's a quote from one of my English teachers at Lower Merion named Mr. Fisk. He had a great quote that said, "Rest at the end, not in the middle." And that's something I always live by. I'm not going to rest, I'm going to keep on pushing now. There are a lot of answers that I don't have, even questions that I don't have. But I'm just going to keep going. I'm just going to keep going, and I'll figure these things out as we go, right? And you just continue to build that way. So I try to live by that all the time.
And that was the most important thing for me, is to leave no stone unturned, get better every single day. And if I lived that way, then over time, I'd have something that was beautiful. And that was my philosophy. It seems like a pretty simple one, but if you live your life to just get better every single day, and do that for 20 years, what do you have?
Overall, the idea is a very simple one. And, the Mamba mentality simply means trying to be the best version of yourself. That's what the mentality means. It means every day you're trying to become better. And it's a constant quest. It's an infinite quest. To me, the mentality is a really simple one, in the sense that the confidence comes from preparation. So when the game's on the line, I'm not asking myself to do something that I haven't done thousands of times before. When I prepare, I know what I'm capable of doing, I know what I'm comfortable doing, and I know what I'm not comfortable doing. Right? And so in those moments, if it looks like I'm ice cold or not nervous, it's because I've done it thousands of times before. So it's one more time. So starting at the age of 2, when I first started playing the game, on and on and on, I always ask questions. I always try to get better every single day, learn more. You'd be surprised, like some people, like my kids at 2 could do a lot of things. Mm-hmm. At 2, I could dribble a basketball, I could shoot a basketball on the Nerf hoop at the house, and I would go to practice with my father. I would observe my father. I'd sit and watch games with him. A lot of things I learned by just being around the game. Mm-hmm. Right? So by the age of 6, I was already strategizing versus other 6-year-olds. At the age of 6, I figured out 6-year-olds couldn't dribble with their left hand. So like when I was playing these 6-year-old kids, I would make them dribble with their left because I knew they couldn't. And so they dribble off their foot, pick it up, lay it up. Do it again, dribble off foot, pick it up, lay it up. So at 6 years old, I had 63 points. I just constantly looked for things to learn from, and I'm very observant.
I had a purpose. I wanted to be one of the best basketball players to ever play. And anything else that was outside of that lane, I didn't have time for. The love of the game, the challenge. Like I would watch Magic play, I'd watch Michael play, and I would see them do these unbelievable things, and I'd say, can I get to that level? I don't know, but let's find out. Let's find out. I had a summer where I played basketball when I was like 10, 11 years old, and here I come playing, and I don't score 1 point the entire summer. I remember crying about it and being upset about it, and my father just gave me a hug and said, "Listen, whether you score 0 or score 60, I'm going to love you no matter what."
Wow.
Now that is the most important thing that you can say to a child. Because from there, I was like, okay, that gives me all the confidence in the world to fail. But to hell with that, I'm scoring 60. From there, I just went to work. I stayed with it. I kept practicing. I think that's when the idea of understanding a long-term view became important. Because I wasn't going to catch these kids in a week. I wasn't going to catch them in a year, right? So that's when I sat down and said, okay, this is going to take some thought. All right, what do I want to work on first? All right, shooting. All right, let's knock this out. Let's focus on this. Half a year, 6 months, do nothing but shoot. When I came back the next summer, I was a little bit better. I scored. Yeah, it wasn't much, right, but I scored. 12, 13. And then 14 came around, back half 13, 14 years old, and then I was just killing everyone. What I had to do was work on the basics and the fundamentals. While they relied on their athleticism and their natural ability. And because I stick to the fundamentals, it just caught up to them. And then my body, my knees stopped hurting. I grew into my frame. Then it was game over.
Wow.
The passion came from the love for the game. I loved everything about it, like the smell of the ball, the smell of like brand new sneakers, like the sound the ball makes when it hits the ground, the ball going through the net, like all those things I love. And so the passion comes from that, because once you have that love, you just want to be a part of this thing all the time. I was born to play basketball, you know what I mean? And I played a lot of different sports, but nothing brought me the sense of peace and of escape, that the game of basketball did. When I need that escape, it's there for me, right? When I need a friend, it's there for me. When I need to vent, don't dunk, and it's there, So the game is absolutely everything for me.
I had goals, I had expectations and things I wanted to accomplish, and so like the outside world could not meet that for sure.
Mm-hmm.
I knew I wanted to win like 5, 6, 7 championships. That was my goal. For me to come out and say that, people would think I was a lunatic. So no matter what they said or what they threw at me, my expectations were certainly higher. But you can't control that passion, man. Sometimes you kind of have a fire. You need to keep those flames burning.
Yeah.
Man, nothing you can do about it. Like you don't really have much of a choice. Like you wake up in the morning and you go. Even if you tried to dial it back, it'll just build up, and then it'll just like come out 10 times worse than it was before. Can't really control it.
Now, were you always competitive from the day you were born? You were super competitive?
Competitive with things that I participate in. So I'll put it to you this way. So basketball for me was the most important thing. So everything I saw, whether it was TV shows, whether it was books I read, people I talked to, everything was done to try to learn how to become a better basketball player. Everything. And so when you have that point of view, then literally the world becomes your library to help you to become better at your craft. So at 13 years old, I had a kill list. And so, they used to do these rankings. It was Street and Smith basketball rankings. And I was nowhere to be found because I was like 6'4", scrawny, like 160 pounds soaking wet. So I was like 57 on the list. And so I would look at 56, 55, all the way up to number 1, who these players are. I got to hunt them down, right? And so that became my mission in high school, is to check off every other person, all those 56 other names, hunt them down and knock them down. So I would size you up and see what your strengths and weaknesses are. And if we're talking about, a basketball decision where, read a certain coverage or something like that, I mean, a lot of that comes from the pre-work and understanding what their defensive package is and how to put teammates in certain situations. For example, if you look at players nowadays that are charged with taking game-winning shots, making game-winning decisions, and you look at the play and then you look at it and say, okay, well, that shooter was there, the double team came, and the player couldn't do anything but pass the ball, right? Well, that's because they didn't do the pre-work. So when you do the pre-work, you understand, okay, this team in this situation likes to run a double team from this particular angle. All right, so I'm gonna clear that side out, force the double team to come from a different angle, move myself to a space on the floor where it's gonna take a long time for the double team to come, and now I can circumvent the double team and get to a place on the floor where I can knock down a shot and get to the basket. So it's all that pre-work. Well, I mean, here's why practice was important to me. Not from just the standpoint that I enjoyed playing. Like, I enjoyed being there. I enjoyed getting better. But as a leader of a team, it's also your responsibility to elevate the rest of the guys. And what people tend to get stuck on a lot is saying, okay, the way to make players better is to pass them the ball when they're open. It's a very trivial way to look at things. What you have to do is you have to get them emotionally to want to be better.